Tonight, live from the Vatican, we're just hours away from the secret conclave here, and tonight we'll take you inside the Sistine Chapel. Also tonight, the dramatic encounter, President Trump face-to-face with Canada's new Prime Minister in the Oval Office, and you'll see it. Canada's Prime Minister saying, "We will never be your 51st state." President Trump saying, "Never say never." The Prime Minister answering, "Never." Also breaking news tonight, disturbing new allegations against Smokey Robinson tonight. First, the tension in the Oval Office. President Trump and Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney in their first high-stakes meeting. Carney winning by campaigning against President Trump's tariffs and against all of Trump's talk of making Canada the 51st state. And what happened when that idea came up again today, the drama in the Oval Office. Also breaking as we come on the air tonight, dangerous storms in the Northeast, Pennsylvania and New York, and the tornado watches across the South. Ginger Z standing by with the forecast. Tonight, the newest scare at the airport, 2 United planes clipping wings, and the growing crisis at Newark Airport. And now the major change coming for all air travelers in the U.S. starting tomorrow. Do you have your new real ID? And what happens if you don't? Tonight, the heated confrontation in court.
I just want my brother to see me.
The sudden outburst during a hearing for a suspect accused of killing a sheriff's deputy. The ABC News exclusive tonight, an urgent FBI warning about a dangerous online network called 764. They say targeting American children and teenagers allegedly on social media, and what every parent needs to know. The conclave set to begin in just hours here. How long will it take to elect a new pope? What New York City Cardinal Timothy Dolan said right here today, and another cardinal here telling our James Longman if there's no new pope by Friday, what that would signal. Tonight, Motown legend Smokey Robinson facing alarming new allegations, what we've learned. New details about the suspect who crashed through the front gates of Jennifer Aniston's home. Police now say this was no accident. And tonight, live from the Vatican, we'll take you inside the Sistine Chapel this evening, what they've now set up right before it's locked off from the rest of the world. You'll see it.
From ABC News, this is ABC World News Tonight with David Muir, reporting tonight from the Vatican.
Good evening tonight from the Vatican on the eve of the historic secret conclave that will elect the new pope. The ritual begins just a few hours from now. The first vote inside the Sistine Chapel tomorrow. The world will be waiting for that famous white smoke that signals a new pope. You can see the balcony right here over my shoulder here at Vatican City, where they will unveil the new pope to the world right here in St. Peter's Square. But how many days will it take? We'll take you inside the Sistine Chapel before they lock it up with the cardinals inside tomorrow. But we do begin tonight with President Trump face-to-face with Canada's new Prime Minister. Prime Minister Mark Carney arriving at the White House today after winning the election in Canada, campaigning against President Trump's tariffs and against his talk of making Canada the 51st state. Canadians were not having it. In the Oval Office, the president was asked if he stands by his desire to make Canada the 51st state, and he doubled down on the idea today and what the Prime Minister then said. The two going back and forth on this. ABC's chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce leading us off. She's at the White House tonight.
Tonight, Canada's new Liberal Prime Minister Mark Carney arriving at the White House just days after he swept to victory on a wave of anti-Trump sentiment, campaigning against the president's tariffs and his pledge to turn Canada into America's 51st state. Just moments before, Trump setting the tone, posting on social media, "Why is America subsidizing Canada? We don't need anything they have other than their friendship." In the Oval Office with Carney looking on, Trump was asked if he still thinks Canada should be part of the U.S.
Well, I still believe that, but you know, it takes two to tango, right? I think that there are tremendous benefits to the Canadian citizens, tremendously lower taxes, free military, which honestly we give you essentially anyway because we're protecting Canada if you ever had a problem. But I think it would really be a wonderful marriage because it's two places that get along very well. They like each other a lot.
Well, if I may, as you know from real estate, there are some places that are never for sale.
That's true.
We're sitting in one right now, Buckingham Palace that you visited as well.
That's true.
And having met with the owners of Canada over the course of the campaign last several months, it's not for sale, won't be for sale. Ever.
But Trump not ready to accept that.
But never say never. Never say never.
As the meeting grew increasingly tense, reporters pressing.
If Canadians don't want it, would you respect that?
Sure, I would. But this is not necessarily a one-day deal. This is over a period of time they have to make that decision. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, if I may. Respectfully, Canadians' view on this is not going to change on the 51st state.
Trump has imposed stiff tariffs on most Canadian goods, Canada retaliating with a 25% tariff on more than $40 billion in U.S. products, everything from orange juice to appliances. Canadian liquor stores taking American whiskey off the shelves. The two leaders say they are hoping to make a deal, but Trump says he's not ready yet.
Is there anything he could say to you in the course of your meetings with him today that would get you to lift tariffs on Canada?
No.
Why not?
Just the way it is.
And at a press conference later, Carney said he told President Trump point blank to stop calling Canada the 51st state. We've asked, but tonight, no word yet on how Trump responded. And meanwhile, our latest ABC News Washington Post Ipsos poll shows that 86% of Americans oppose the U.S. taking control of Canada. David.
Mary Bruce leading us off at the White House tonight. Mary, thank you. We're also tracking these dangerous storms hitting the Northeast tonight, Pennsylvania into New York, and a tornado watch across multiple states in the South. More than 30 million Americans on alert for storms tonight. Look at the pictures tonight of funnel cloud in Bangor, Pennsylvania near Allentown, thunderstorms and flood watches from Philadelphia right into upstate New York. A powerful lightning strike outside Dallas, setting a home on fire. 3 people were inside at the time. No one was hurt. And in Brenham, Texas, floodwaters sweeping away a 10-year-old girl. Her body was discovered today. Chief Meteorologist Ginger Z is tracking the storms as we head into this evening. Ginger, what do you see?
Hey, David, the skies have been swirling just west of us. New Jersey, parts of Pennsylvania have seen severe thunderstorm and tornado warnings. Myerstown, Pennsylvania had a gust over 64 miles per hour. Now, that's that really slow low pressure system, and that is going to also produce flooding. There's another very slow low-pressure system. Texas, Louisiana have been dealing with that. We're kind of in this stuck pattern called an omega block. But Louisiana and Texas having that tornado watch and the flood watches through Mississippi and coastal Alabama. Now, this is because of rounds of rain that's going to come. A lot of places will see more than a half foot. And tomorrow, New Orleans finds themselves in that level 3 out of 4 significant flash flood threat. David.
Ginger Z with us tonight. Ginger, we'll see you first thing in the morning on GMA. Thank you. We turn next tonight to the newest scare at the airport. 2 crowded United passenger planes at the San Francisco airport clipping wings. Meantime, the growing crisis at Newark Airport. Nearly 1,000 flights canceled since news of that air traffic control outage. Air traffic controllers losing contact with passenger planes in the air for up to 90 seconds. And tonight, the major change coming for all air travelers in the U.S. starting tomorrow. And here's the question. Did you get your new real ID cards? And what happens if you didn't? ABC's Matt Rivers at Newark tonight.
Tonight, 2 United passenger jets clipping wings as one of the planes pushed back from the gate in San Francisco.
That's affirmative. There's a possible collision in between the alleys.
Overnight, this flight headed to Sydney, striking another bound for Hong Kong. No injuries reported, but hundreds of passengers forced to deplane. It's just the latest in what's been a brutal week for the airline, forced to cancel hundreds of flights at East Coast hub Newark Airport, beleaguered by an air traffic control shortage. Some controllers taking medical leave after what they called a, quote, traumatic event. An air traffic control system outage last Monday, leaving them unable to see, hear, or speak with planes in the air packed with passengers for 60 to 90 seconds. In newly obtained audio, one pilot trying to make contact met by silence.
Approach you there.
Communications coming back online, but controllers unable to see the planes on radar.
We don't have a radar, so I don't know where you are.
Today, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy promising to update the decades-old infrastructure.
We are going to fix it. We are going to build a brand new system for all of you and your families and the American people.
But controller shortages, bad weather, and runway construction still plaguing Newark flyers. And long lines at driver's license offices across the country. Starting tomorrow, travelers flying domestically will be required to have a real ID license or state identification card or a passport, or they will face extra screening and questioning at the security checkpoint.
If it's not compliant, they may be diverted to a different line, have an extra step, but people will be allowed to fly.
And David, here at Newark, a source tells ABC News that the FAA is trying to urgently rush in experienced air traffic controllers from other parts of the country to try and help out here. But David, even that is going to take some time.
Matt Rivers on this story again tonight. Matt, thank you. We turn here to an ABC News exclusive tonight, an urgent FBI warning about a dangerous online network called 764, allegedly targeting American children and teenagers on social media and what they're doing. ABC News joining forces with our owned and affiliate stations across the country and what every parent needs to know tonight. Here's Pierre Thomas.
Tonight, the Justice Department says the armed man in this video is tied to a disturbing and growing threat, a shadowy network called 764, whose goal is to spark violence and chaos around the world, in part by luring in unsuspecting teenagers. Authorities say 764 is behind a string of chilling threats in Vernon, Connecticut.
Hello? I have placed 2 explosives inside of Rockville High School, okay? And if they fail to detonate, I'm just going to shoot every kid I see, okay?
The call was a hoax coming from overseas, but with help from a teenage girl living right in town.
He was doing these threats with her knowledge and with some of her input.
764 targets kids on social media and gaming platforms, extorting them into sending violent and sexual content.
They will encourage them sometimes to commit suicide. They will encourage them to do cutting. They will encourage them to harm their pets.
They're using basically psychological warfare on children.
That's right. They gain the trust, and then they continue to build that trust to the point where they have power and the ability to blackmail the child, basically.
The suspect in the fake bomb threat convinced that teen he was her boyfriend. Soon she was sharing pornographic pictures of herself and was fully indoctrinated, defacing a Barbie with those numbers 764.
Before it started, she was a child who was on the honor roll. She had a lot of friends, and then slowly that started to change.
ABC News agreed to alter the faces and voices of the girl's parents.
I wanted to scream, "Not my child."
David, the FBI is warning parents to pay attention to who their kids are talking to on social media and gaming platforms. Tonight, the FBI is investigating more than 250 suspects tied to 764, with every field office involved. David?
Incredible reporting, Pierre, from you and our stations across the country. Thank you. Here at the Vatican tonight, the secret conclave set to begin in just hours here. The Sistine Chapel, where the cardinals will meet, has been secured tonight. And of course, the question here, how long will it take to elect a new pope? What New York City Cardinal Timothy Dolan said here late today, and another cardinal here telling our James Longman, if there's no pope by Friday, what that would signal. Here's James.
We are hours away tonight from one of the world's most ancient rituals, the conclave to choose the next pope. Cardinals from around the world pray for us. Together for one last pre-conclave meeting today, performing 2 final acts, breaking Pope Francis's fisherman ring and destroying his papal seal. Tomorrow, proceedings will begin with a mass at St. Peter's Basilica at 10 a.m. local, 4 a.m. Eastern. Then the 133 voting cardinals will file into the Sistine Chapel by 4:30 p.m. Rome time, 10:30 a.m. Eastern, and under the vaulted magnificence of Michelangelo's 500-year-old frescoes, they will take their solemn vow of secrecy. No phones, no computers, no televisions, completely isolated from the outside world. Then the Master of Ceremonies says those famous words, extra omnes, everybody out. The doors are then closed and the conclave is expected to start voting around 5 p.m. Rome time. That's 11 a.m. Eastern. New York Cardinal Timothy Dolan says the first vote could be revealing.
Now, I have to tell you, that first ballot is so significant because then you see who are the leaders.
This is the most diverse conclave ever, and 80% of the cardinal electors were appointed by Francis, like Cardinal Luis Herrera from Ecuador, chosen by Francis just 4 months ago.
You must be excited. I mean, you're about to go into conclave. Once in a lifetime, maybe.
It's a gift, he says, a blessing. I never dreamed of doing this in my life. He wants a pope as personable as Francis.
So it's men like this that really personify Francis's church, men from all 4 corners of the earth. This is the face of Francis's church.
The cardinals will cast secret ballots up to 4 times a day. A candidate must win 2/3 majority, and because of the timing, only 1 vote is expected tomorrow. Ballots will be burned twice a day in the following days. If black smoke is released from the newly installed chimney, no winner. White smoke means a new pope has been elected. And today, one cardinal telling me he'd be surprised if we don't have a new pope by Friday.
If on Friday night the pope is not elected, it would be that something unexpected has happened.
So the first vote will take place here tomorrow afternoon, David, and whatever the colour of that smoke, black or white, we will be right here live on air. Remember, Benedict and Francis were elected within 2 days, so as that cardinal told me, if there isn't a new pope by Friday, something's up. David?
Something's up. James Longman, who chased down just about every cardinal here in Rome, James. They didn't all answer, but some did, and we appreciate it. As James mentioned, we'll be on the air around 10 a.m. live, 10 a.m. Eastern tomorrow. Thanks, James. To other news tonight, the Supreme Court has cleared the way for President Trump to ban transgender service members in the military. A lower court judge halted the ban, calling it unfair, exclusionary policy. But the High Court's conservative majority allowed it to take effect while the case is litigated. The Pentagon can now begin discharging some 4,200 active duty troops who are transgender. Tonight, U.S. officials watching India and Pakistan closely. India firing at least 3 missiles across the border into Pakistani-controlled territory. India claims they were targeting terrorist infrastructure. 1 child reportedly killed, 2 others injured. Tensions have soared between the nuclear-armed neighbors over last month's militant attack on tourists in the Indian-controlled portion of Kashmir. When we come back here tonight, the heated confrontation in court, you'll see it, the sudden outburst during a hearing for a suspect accused of killing a sheriff's deputy. Also, new details about the suspect who crashed through the front gates of Jennifer Aniston's home. Police now say this was no accident. And Motown legend Smokey Robinson facing alarming new allegations tonight. What we've learned here in a moment. Tonight in Cincinnati, the sudden outburst during a hearing for a suspect accused of killing a sheriff's deputy. The suspect's brother demanding to see him, deputies swarming around the man. The suspect remains held without bail, his attorney entering a not guilty plea. Tonight, Motown legend Smokey Robinson facing allegations of sexual misconduct. 4 women coming forward to file a $50 million lawsuit against him. The complaint accusing the 85-year-old singer of alleged sexual battery, false imprisonment, and a hostile work environment. Robinson and his representatives have yet to comment. When we come back here tonight, news about the crash outside Jennifer Aniston's home. They say this was no accident. And I'll take you inside the Sistine Chapel here behind us tonight before they seal it off. To the index, authorities identifying the driver who smashed through the gate at Jennifer Aniston's home, saying it wasn't accidental. Police now accusing Jimmy Carwile of felony vandalism. Aniston was home at the time, her private security holding him at gunpoint until police could arrive. When we come back here tonight, we'll take you inside the Sistine Chapel, a last look at what they've done before it's sealed off for the conclave. Finally tonight here, the tables are in place, the chairs are set. The cardinals will enter the Sistine Chapel in just hours to elect a new pope. The eyes of the world will soon be on St. Peter's Square here at the Vatican. The secret conclave to elect the next pope starts in just hours here. The first vote with the cardinals locked inside the Sistine Chapel comes tomorrow. And tonight they have now sealed the entrances to the Apostolic Palace, affixing the seals with the words Conclave and 2025. Above the Sistine Chapel, Vatican firefighters have been on the roof. That chimney with the smoke that will signal to the world a new pope is now in place. Each of the cardinals in the chapel will write their choice and place their ballot one by one at the front of the chapel in this urn. Each cardinal bowing to the altar and then returning to his seat. The ballots are counted and then connected with a single thread. Until there's a 2/3 majority, there is no new pope, and all of the ballots are burned after each vote. The wooden balls, 133 of them, part of the roll call here for each of the cardinals who are eligible to vote. Tables line the chapel, and the chairs now set in place with each of the cardinals' names. This conclave will be like no other. 135 cardinals eligible to participate. 80% of them were appointed by Pope Francis. They come from every corner of the world, 71 different countries. The largest and most diverse conclave in recent history. The youngest cardinal is just 45. The oldest will turn 80 the week after the conclave starts. They will cast their secret ballots up to 4 times a day. 2 votes in the morning, 2 votes in the afternoon. And once they reach that 2/3 majority inside the Sistine Chapel, the famous white smoke signaling a new pope. And inside, the white papal garments come next. They're hanging already in the so-called Room of Tears, where the new pope will come to change, to pray, and perhaps shed a tear before being revealed to the world just a short time later. And we'll be on the air live as the cardinals enter the Sistine Chapel right around 10 a.m. Eastern tomorrow, live on ABC. And then every time there's smoke, we'll come back on. I'll see you tomorrow night. Good night.
Thank you for making World News Tonight with David Muir America's most watched newscast.